If you've ever wondered what a level 3 snow emergency is, this is it. If you're caught on the road, you're subject to arrest. So yeah, don't let the lack of snow fool you. There's a sheet of ice underneath that. So yeah, pretty bad when you can go ice skating in your front lawn. What is up, folks? Welcome back to Ever So Slight. Jorge Anito here. Thanks for stopping by, and once again, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Random Cool, episode 4 to be precise. What is Random Cool, you might be asking? It's a segment where I try to curate the lesser known, unique moves, at least the ones that I find unique. Alright, before we get into this, do me not a gas, neither a liquid, but a solid, and subscribe if you're not already. Leave me a comment letting me know exactly what you think of this video after you watch it, of course. Leave a like. If you like sardines on your pizza, leave a dislike. Alright, now who's the one person that likes sardines? Who is that? Is that Robert Ball? I'm using the blue Remedies today in preparation for the Madison Casino release. It's going to be released next week, next Wednesday to be exact. They're offering collector's boxes autographed by both Daniel Madison and Daniel Snyder. Coming in at number 5 is what I refer to as the Ferry Control, and it looks a little something like this. The one who brought this principle to my attention was Reid Ferry, and it's taking the principle of an out-jogged card and switching it out for another out-jogged card. Now, this is something we would normally do, like say for instance in a card to mouth, where you have this thumb break and you swing cut, and then in the action of turning this card over, you deposit that card on top. It was Reid Ferry who brought to my attention, hey, why don't we do this out-jogged, right? So, this is what I mean. He would do this, and then in the action of turning this card over, he would drop this card in an out-jogged position. I would take that idea and apply it to the spread. And so very simply, you would just stop the spread whenever the spectator said stop. Now, this last card is only being held by my middle finger. Everything else is pinched with the index and thumb, just like you would normally do in a spread. Right, so when I know they say stop, I stop right here and I'm just pushing over this card. I'm clipping the very next card with my middle finger because that's the one that I'm going to be dropping, right? So whenever you turn the selection over, you out-jog it like so. Whenever you do the switch, now all you're doing is simply turning it over like this, and you're letting go of this card to where it falls in an out-jog position. This can be a little bit challenging at first, but once you understand what needs to happen, so once I flip this card over, I'm actually tilting upward. That way this card falls flush with the rest of the deck. And at the same time, I'm almost bringing this spread forward a little bit and just dropping, right? And so when it happens, and it all happens in just a split second, right? So the idea is they just saw their card out-jogged like this. The next visual they get is supposedly their card still out-jogged like this, but turned over. And that, my friends, is the Ferry Control. Coming in at number 2 is just a way to do the top change. So you take the spectator selection, the 2 of diamonds, and you ask him, hey, do you want to change this for another card? If not, we'll go ahead and take your 2 of diamonds, lose it somewhere in the middle of the deck. All the while, it's on top. This is pretty simple, pretty easy. All you're doing is in the action of just, taking back the selection, you're securing a pinky break under the top card. Alright, you turn it over and you just place it in your thumb, just like so. As if just to say, alright, before we proceed any further, do you want to actually change this for another card in the deck? Okay, no. Then you come in and you're supposedly taking the card just like this, right? But what's actually happening, you're going to be grabbing the other selection with your ring and thumb as you're index finger, middle finger kind of lay on top of the deck, just like you would come in and grab this card, but you're grabbing the other card and swapping it out for this one. You may think this is an odd movement, but it actually really does work. Coming in at number 3 is the Manhatten Vanish, and it looks a little something like this. The cleanup is pretty easy, the vanish is pretty cool, and when they don't know that this is coming, that's when it's most effective. Now, obviously, I'm saying what it is. This is, it's a vanish, you guys know what to look for. But this is based on a Chris Brown color change called the Dr. Manhatten Color Change. However, obviously, I'm not going to be teaching his color change, but I'm applying a similar principle to this, and I'm not infringing upon Chris Brown's color change, because if you were to check that download out, you'll see that it's very much different. There are different things happening. I'm simply using the palming action as a vanish. So all you're doing is this. You're just displaying a card like so. It's important to hold the card like this, because what's going to happen is these fingers, the middle and the ring coming up over the deck, is going to act like, I don't know if that's really a pivot point, swivel point, but you're going to roll that card into a palm position, a longitudinal gambler's cop. So this would be an original gambler's cop. This would be longitudinal, but you're only holding it with the pinky. I found that if you try to palm this card with multiple fingers, you know, you start losing control, obviously, like I did just there. But when you do it with just the pinky, man, it just seems to work, right? So what you're doing, you're displaying the card in this position, and in the action of just basically opening your hand, you're taking your pinky and this part of the hand, and you're rolling this card into the palm position so you can palm it essentially with the pinky. It's clipped with the pinky and this part of the thumb. Now once you're in this position, and you should be able to do this really fast, right? So it should happen fast, it should look clean. Now whenever the cleanup is this, you're essentially going to fold the card underneath, right? But this is going to flash right here. So what I do is just kind of push the cards forward like that, and as I come in to kind of straighten up the deck and square it, I'm simply folding the card underneath as I'm just squaring everything up. That is the Manhatten Vanish. Coming in at number 2 is a simple tip for your Erdnase color change. We all know what this is. The color change itself, I'm not going to teach it. But essentially, what I'm trying to do is, well, you'll start with a double. In the action of turning it over, you're going to start the splitting, right? That way, when this card lays down, you're already in the position that you need for the still and the change. So instead of coming in and, you know, doing all this that people do, pushing it forward, or how I like to do, cover the whole card, kick everything back, that way nothing is seen, nothing looks like it was moved. What this essentially does is just aid you in that process. So you simply come forward, and all I'm doing is pulling back with the thumb as I'm pushing forward with the middle and index. So, and I'm splitting the cards like this. And when the cards fall, they're not going to see anything, obviously, because your hand is in the way, right? So, and the more you practice this, the easier it'll get. I think that you'll find this really does help this move. So, one last time at speed. And coming in at number 1, another vanish, piggybacking off of the Erdnase color change, is the Daniel Madison half vanish, released with Theory 11 a long time ago, and it looks a little something like this. And the idea is to vanish a card, half of a card at a time. And the cool thing is this is really visual, right? Especially when you come down and they see that the card is almost nearly vanished. Then with just a little more action, it's vanished. And obviously we know this is the Erdnase color change being applied here. You're coming in. Now normally I wouldn't like doing this, right? I've talked about doing the Erdnase underneath the cover of your hand, right? Kicking the cards back with the index. That way you don't have to push the card forward. But in this instance with the Vanish, it works because you want them to see this visual. And you're just coming in to simply wave your hand over the card. And you're stealing a card, and you're going to deposit it like so, flush with the rest of the deck, and obviously covered with your hand. And as soon as you deposit it and it's square back here, you could show back here what's happening. And you begin to do this little action as if you're just brushing away this ace out of existence. And right there at the end, you just use your index finger to push the card in. That, my friends, is Daniel Madison's Half Vanish. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed this installment of Random Cool. Let me know what you think. Jorge Anito here, signing out. Be blessed.